We're supposed to start, so we're going to get going. Welcome to the Cover Crops Conference. My name is George Kemp. I'm the UW Extension Ag Agent for Columbia County, down by Portage, as opposed to Portage County, where we're at now. So people get that confused occasionally, but down towards Madison area. Want to welcome you here, and I'm going to give a few opening remarks to get going, and then we're going to spend most time hearing from and picking the brains of our farmer panel here. Appreciate everyone being here. Just so you understand kind of the format, we're going to give each farmer here about 15 minutes to present. I'd like to ask you to write down any questions or use your devices if you know how to do that, to write down your question and give yourself a note so that you can remember to ask it of them. We're not going to take questions during the presentations, but we'll do it more as a panel discussion, and you can direct your questions to whichever individual you would like, or to the group as a whole, to answer your questions when we get there. So again, we'll ask the questions after all three of them have presented. They were asked to address the following points: the name and size of their farm, so I don't have to do all the introductions and stuff. A crop rotation that they typically follow, any tillage practices that they use or lack of tillage that they do now, what cover crops do they use, what is their planting rate, what seeding methods do they use, are they drill, do they use an airplane, are they just broadcast, and along when do they seed those, cover crop termination, timing and method, how do they handle that? Any planter modifications that they might have found that work well for them, whether it's for their no-till planter or if they're planting into cover crop residue, what are they using to make that successful? Any increases or decreases in pests that they might have seen. Positive and negative impacts on their cash crop. We know this is a learning process, and sometimes it goes downhill just a little bit before it gets better. So we want to find out about that. So these were some of the things they were asked to address. Finally, economics of using the cover crops and no-till. If they have some good numbers, or what are they sensing that they're seeing so far. And finally, if they've been in it long enough to see some changes in their soil test organic matter over time. That's a long, slow process. We didn't burn up the organic matter real fast. Maybe faster than we should have, but it takes time to build that back again. So again, learning to use no-till and cover crops is really just it's a learning process. These guys have been through it somewhat. We also have to understand that results may vary from year to year. Your main crops, yields change year to year, don't they? How much rain do we get? When did you get them in the ground? All those things. So even using cover crops, you're going to see some variability. So why should it be any different using cover crops than your normal crops? Don't think because you had a bad year, it's going to be that way every year. Don't think because you had an awesome year, it's going to be that way every year. We're trying to work in that direction. I would encourage you to begin slowly. Some of you have been doing cover crops for a long time, others are thinking about using them. Start slow and practice, okay? If you were a sports player, you didn't start at the varsity level typically. We started young, we worked at it, we practiced and practiced. Farming and using cover crops is no different. So begin slowly, practice, and hone your skills. Now normally I do not encourage people to steal. Today I'm going to. I'm going to encourage you to steal some ideas from our panelists up here. Learn from them. Copy their successes. And hopefully, you learn to avoid the failures or the challenges that they've run into. This is your chance to get some shortcuts. And so please think about that. So with that, I want us to get started, and keeping in mind what might work for you yesterday may not be the same tomorrow or in your operation. So what from their operation can you take back and put into your operation? What will work well? Okay? So with that, we're going to get started. I'm going to invite Nick Miller to come forward. He's from Waukesha, kind of the southeast part of Wisconsin, and talk about his operation. and how he's implemented cover crops into his business. Nick?
Good morning. I farmed with my dad and my brother down here by Oconomowoc, which is smack dab in between Madison and Milwaukee. So we normally get our corn planted end of May, something like that. I'm sorry, end of April into May, finish up hopefully end of May. We're 3,800 acres, corn, soybeans, wheat. We do a minimum tillage. So we run a Kraus accelerator across our soybean stubble, and we run a high-speed disc, a Degelman, across our corn stubble in the fall time. 8 years cover crop use, started very slow with single species radishes, and we've kind of evolved into multi-species mixes. We do about 500 to 600 acres of wheat a year that we take all of our straw off of, and so we try to get a high biomass cover crop put back out there. And then after corn and soybeans, winter rye has been our go-to cover crop. This year out of our 3,800 acres, we got about 3,500 of it is covered this year, so worked really hard on trying to get that accomplished. Start out coverage after wheat here. We've gone through just about the gamut of everything from single species to annual ryegrass and clovers and such, and we've kind of come down to this where we use forage peas, radish, sunflowers, rape, and sorghum sudan. This is what I consider a high probability mix where we can plant this in August. We try to get out there right after the combine, right after we're done baling, and August 1st at 30 pounds, we use a drill, and it costs us about $17.40 an acre is what it kind of retails for. The peas, the last 3 years running, have actually set pods, so we're maximizing our nitrogen production there. The radishes do a great job of breaking up the compaction for us. Sunflowers give us the diversity of all the plants, or all the bugs. Bees, the rapeseed is excellent. Actually, over winter, some has a very deep taproot, and sorghum sudan gives us a biomass out there to recover some of that, because we're taking about 1.7 to 2 tons of straw off our wheat ground. So we want to try and regrow some of that biomass. What we like about it is it's easy to plant. Everything in there pretty much winter kills except for the rapeseed. You are going to have some volunteer winter wheat out there that's going to overwinter. Huge biomass production. Diversity is kind of the key that we've gone to over just the straight radishes. And then the flowers have been a nice addition with the sunflowers because you're getting the bees, you're getting all the just a whole bunch of beneficial bugs out there, and it really gets the neighborhood kind of talking about what you got going on out there. This is kind of what it ends up being. If I were to walk out there, you know, you're looking at this is chest high type of deal, and this is taken end of September time frame. So we'll go out there and plant this. It gets really nice and thick. About 3 weeks later, we'll come out there and we'll broadcast 1 to 2 tons of chicken litter on top of this. And it just really takes off and goes nuts after you do the fertilizer. So this is one of our better fields where we had good take with the sunflowers, and it really looks nice when you get people driving down the road. One, they're out there probably stealing half your sunflowers to take home, but it gets a lot of people talking about why you're doing it and what's going on with it. Plus, we get the benefits of all the bees in there. Kind of hard to see, there's one right there, you got a big bumblebee right there. So we're trying to keep our beneficial insects going. This is about what it looks like in the springtime here. Now this picture was taken a couple years ago when we were actually using our Kinsey planter, and we were putting radishes in one row, and we had all of our large seeded stuff in the other row. So, I mean, that looks like, you know, you took an aerator through there and just went down. But the only thing really left in green and growing here is the volunteer winter wheat. See some of these stalks here, that's just the sunflowers type of a deal, but for the most part, that huge biomass cover crop is just kind of melted down. And It is a challenge to plant into, especially if it's cool and wet. Slugs can be an issue, but it seems like if you do some row cleaning with it, some seed, you could get good seed to soil contact, close that row up behind you really well so you've got no open areas. It really seems to benefit a lot. You have less pest pressure from that. Our covers after corn and soybeans, we've tried a couple different things, but everything is revolved around winter rye. And I'll kind of skip to the bottom here. Unclean seed is $6 a bushel, and we grew our own seed, and that's what I sold the seed for, $6 a bushel. So that's the number I use. So it's very inexpensive. You start adding hairy vetch and clovers and such like that, and to get any type of poundage up there, you could be looking at an extra $10 to $20 an acre. We broadcast everything with a spinner spreader. You get kind of a plug to one of our sponsors out there. We have a BBI spreader from Egg Systems. Works extremely well. We spread 50 feet and go about 14 miles an hour with it and get a lot of acres accomplished in a short amount of time. And we come in there in the soybean stubble with the Krauss accelerator, the Boone accelerator, and just really run it shallow, just getting that good seed to soil contact in there. It's not perfect. We still do see some wind erosion in the wintertime here, especially when we don't get the snow cover. But for us to get 2,400 acres covered in a short amount of time, it really works well. On the corn stubble, we use the Degelman Pro-Till, and once again, we're running that very shallow, 2 to 3 inches deep. That's a 26-foot machine. We run about 12 miles an hour with it. We get a lot of acres covered in a short amount of time. For seeding rates, based upon what the neighbors and I have kind of seen over the last couple of years, we use the 30-40-50 rule. So that means 30 pounds is broadcast in September, 40 pounds is broadcast in October, 50 pounds is broadcast in November. We want this stand thin, because if you want to try and plant into it in the springtime, you need to have some loose dirt there, otherwise you're going to have, it's like planting in your lawn, it's sod. So 30, 40, 50 rule has worked out well for us, and we keep it thin. It's extremely easy to establish. I have not had any problems with winter rye winter killing. The erosion control is excellent. We're capturing that sunlight. Microbial activity starts early. When that soil starts warming up here, it really starts jump-starting the residue decomposition of your corn residue and everything else. And I think one of the biggest benefits that maybe hasn't been talked about a lot is the weed control from that straw mat that you're getting on that rye. There's going to be a lot of issues here with Roundup resistance and resistance to weeds and issues and stuff like that. And our weed control has been excellent using the rye. This is what it looks like in the fall time after the Degelman goes through on our corn stubble. So we get, there's probably 70% cover there, but we've got some dirt up on top of the ground that's actually going to help us out in the springtime, kind of dry out a little bit. It gives us a good jump start for the next spring. This is what I want to see. This is rye on top of soybean stubble. If you look from the road, it looks like a nice green field. And you wonder what you did to it. You get out there and it is thin. You can see a lot of loose, you got a couple plants per square foot. That's what we're looking for. So that way when that your row unit goes through there, you've got some dirt there to close up. However, you're still getting your erosion control, you've still got something green and growing. You go on board, I mean. Now this is a field that I planted too heavy in September. This was probably 55 pounds broadcast in September, mid-September after soybeans. And that's what it looked like in the springtime. And that was too thick. We tried taking our planter through there without any seed in the planter, and we had open seed slots. So you're going to have pest issues, you're going to have problems. So too thick can be an issue. This is one of those fields that we had nice and thin. We're planting beans. We use a Kinsey 3600 with interplants here. We plant 15-inch row beans. And this is about 8 to 12-inch tall rye, spread thin. This is probably 40 pounds. And here's where the row unit went through. And you've got, it just kind of beats it up a little bit. Good seed soil contact in there. We close that row. And oh, by the way, it was really wet this past spring, and this rye helped pull out some of this moisture. We were in there, this was probably May 1st that we were planting this on these beans, and showed absolutely no yield drag, actually showed a positive yield versus some of these fields that we did. We planted about 400 acres this year of soybeans into green rye. Worked really well. This is the field then when it came time to second pass herbicide. The only thing I got really out there is I've got a couple stragglers of the winter rye out there from when you kind of run over the tractor tire or something like that and you don't grab it. Because we'll plant into this and then we'll spray our pre-emergent herbicide with a glyphosate burn down at that same, right after we plant. This is a picture I took in the springtime, and this was actually from the field that I planted too heavy from. But what you can see in here is you've got a whole bunch of white little roots in there. You've got well aggregated soil, you've got good percolation through there. In there somewhere is a couple worms in there. Every single scoopful from the shovel, you've got worms in it. Works really, really well. This even had tillage in the fall time. So this winter rye will go in there and it'll kind of like fix some of the evils that you got. Some of the progress that we've kind of shown over the last 8 years of using cover crops here, we apply less nitrogen now. So that's either we apply the same amount of nitrogen or we're getting better efficiency over nitrogen. So we're getting more bushels out. So we're currently at the 0.65, 0.75 pounds per bushel. Our yields seem to be increasing every year. We have definitely less erosion. Wind was a big one for us. We don't have huge hills for normal highly eroded hills. We got some, but the wind was a big one. Our earthworm activity has increased. Compaction this year, even where we park our semis in the field, when you go in there to try and take like an inline ripper and rip up some of that compaction, you don't see the problems anymore with the tractor spinning out. We've had modest, small organic matter increases. We're probably up 0.2 to 0.3 on our soil organic matter from where we started. You know, we're in that 2% organic matter is where our soils are. And definitely the infiltration rates, our water is going in a whole lot better. Some of the keys that we've had, seed to soil contact is huge. If you can get that seed in the soil, you're halfway there to having a good cover crop. We treat our cover crops like our cash crops. We fertilize them, we plant them with a decent planter. We go out there when the timing is correct. We're very, very good about how we try to get it done. It's part of our plan every year to do the cover crops. We fertilize them. The chicken manure has been a huge help to get things going. We did a couple of years where we skipped after winter wheat, and the radish crop was just awful. It was almost a failure in my opinion because it just didn't do anything. We'll try something new just about every year. You know, adding something to the mix, taking something out, trying more pounds, less pounds. Just try something different, but sticking to the basic plan. And plan and be intentional about it. I mean, 2,400 acres of winter rye was planted here this fall. That's all I pretty much did this fall. I spent 5 days, you know, helping the grain crew. But you know, it was a long fall trying to get something. We'll go all the way until we can't get the tillage tool in the ground anymore. So we'll go all the way to frost. We've also understood that nothing here is going to be an overnight fix. You know, we've just taken our time. We know that we've got time on our side to kind of do things and get things changed, but they do change very quickly once you get going on it. And we started to keep some really good records here, you know, your yields and such like that. Some of our so-called crummy ground around Oconomowoc, you know, we were 10 years ago, we were 140, 150 bushel, and when we venture out a little bit towards the darker ground, you were at the 180. Well, now that 180's gone to 200, but that stuff that was 140 now has gone up to 200. So that crummy ground is not really crummy anymore. And this is my, these are my two kids. Kind of like, this is the reason we do this, you know. My daughter Addison is 6, my son Colton is 4. They love going out in the cover crops, picking flowers for mom and such like that. But this is why we kind of do things, so that way we have, hopefully one of these two will stick around at the farm or show interest in the farm. So we're trying to make this soil better so that they can either use less fertilizers or whatever. But that's my contact information. Feel free to email me with any questions or anything like that. I try to be an open book with everything and help out wherever possible.
All right, thank you, Nick. Okay, hopefully you have a couple of questions for him later. I know I have already, but we're going to keep rolling right along, and I'm going to ask Vic Gale from Chippewa County to come up next. Kind of a northwestern feel to this operation, so welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Well, let's see where we're going to start with. A little bit of background. I guess I live up by Chippewa Falls. I farm with one brother, and we have another brother down the road that helps out, and my fiance. And we run about 750 cash grain acres, 3-crop rotation. 1 year corn, 1 year soybeans, and then either cereal rye or spring wheat. We do a lot of different things, and everything we do is kind of it's planned. That's the biggest thing, because we not only do cash grain, we also have dairy goats, we have beef cows, and we also excuse me, we also have a hog herd. So this is cereal rye planted behind soybeans. This was drilled. I have since gone away from drilling and do a lot more airflow. One of the keys is low soil disturbance, or very little soil disturbance. So everything that we possibly can airflow, I do. So this is cereal rye. This was drilled. Last fall I did do airflow. We do that right after bean crop. We usually harvest end of September to early October. This last fall it was quite a bit later. I mean, I was still airflowing cereal rye well into November. And it did get green. I don't know what it's going to look like. I'll find out. Well, the weather stays like this in a couple of weeks. And then after the cereal rye, this is in the spring. No, that's fall too. Just another shot of that. And then in the spring, I come in with airflow. April 10th was the seeding date on this. You know, earlier the better. Even if you can get out there and try and frost seed it, I think it would work very well. And I put on medium red clover at 10 pounds an acre. Just by seeding that out, I do that to help get nitrogen, but that clover is going to really grow when they're in the early spring. And when I take the rye, this is me combining our cereal rye, and there's a lot of clover coming underneath that. And when I take the rye off, we'll come back in, cut that, and baleage it in the fall for either the beef cows or the dairy goats. Works very, very well. Also with that, after combining, I will go through and airflow or no-till drill the rest of my cover crops into there, which is usually cereal, or I might put rye back into it, but it's normally ryegrass, turnips, radish. If I'm going to graze beef cows on in the winter, then I'll add sorghum sudan, barley, peas, quite a smorgasbord of things. Just trying to help get that biomass up, and we farm a lot of hilly ground, so erosion is a very, very large concern. I tend to try and stay away from radishes because of that. I found that sometimes that makes the ground too loose, so I will really use a turnip over a radish. This is in the following spring of that airflow clover, and then in late April. And that's usually when I will come in, end of April, first part of May, and I will cut that again for forage. For either the cows or the goats, unless I don't need it. If I had a good hay year on our alfalfa ground, if we had a good year, if I don't need it, I'll leave it there. And last spring, I mean, I was planting the clover that was well over knee high, we didn't eat the forage, burned it off, left it there and planted through it. Didn't have the planter, I tend to run a little high, a little more down pressure on my planter, and the closing goes a little tighter. I have had some problems with sidewall compaction, but I need to do that because, like the gentleman before said, he plants his thin to get it closed. Mine are a lot thicker, so I need to get that trench closed up better. And then from there, I go to corn. So this is a corn crop that was no-tilled into that, and then I aerial seeded in early September. They come in an airplane. Damon Reeby, I can see him here earlier, but he comes up and he flies on, and that is again a large, big variety of cover crops. We usually do annual ryegrass, and then turnips, and maybe some crimson clover or cereal rye. This year I have done some stuff where I did some just plain cereal rye that I would leave it go all the way up to a boot stage and then roll it, and then try and no-till beans into that, just to see if it works. I heard some people that were doing it, they said it works very well, so you may hear from people, you try it. And then this is in the fall, after I combine. And that's very similar to what my stuff usually looks like in the fall. And then a lot of that will it's supposed to pull off in the winter. I will say that my crimson clover and my annual ryegrass always comes through. Radishes usually are turnips and radishes are wrong. The clover and the annual ryegrass usually pulls through. And then I just spray that off, Roundup, and usually get it with Roundup, and then no-till my soybeans and corn those. And then this is late September results on that. This looks like maybe after the cereal rye, where I didn't put clover on in the spring, and then come back in with that thing. And as you can tell, that white thing is a foot by foot square. So there's a lot of plants. I do plant a lot thicker feeding than I probably even should. But the big thing is I really like the diversity. At least I like to use at least 3 different seeds at one time. The only thing that would qualify is my cereal rye after the soybeans. Everyone tells me, I say, well, that's all you want. Well, that's not a cover crop. It's a cover crop in the fall, but then in the springtime when it comes, it then turns to a cash grain crop because I do harvest it for grain. And then here's some more results, some radishes. And then that's a whole picture of the clover again. On a different farm, and that radish is actually off that same field. If you kind of look down, there's a little right here. See that kind of changes color? That's maybe where the airflow might have missed that clover, but then when I come in airflow and the radishes and this stuff, that's where it comes in a little better. Because that clover will choke other things on it that's coming quite thick. And then just some of our rewards. I did a test on 18 acres, and it was just medium red clover underneath cereal rye. What I seen, the biggest thing I seen was my test weight in the grain. I had 22% moisture off the field. We were running 50 to 52 pounds last fall. When I hit the stuff that had this clover under it, I went to 56 pounds, and it was same planting date, similar soil, same corn. I mean, everything was very similar, but we gained that. So what I did is in that corn I had 200 bushel an acre. So if I take away that 4, I figure that if I take away that 4 pounds, that gave me 258 bushels for sale at, that $3 a bushel almost makes us cry, but that's what it was this fall. And that was, $775 profit on that 18 acres that I figured I got just from that labor. $275 worth of savings on urea. I took away 100 pounds of urea on my second pass sidegrass. I usually run 250 pounds a year. On this stuff, I only run 150. 50 pounds pre-plant, and I side dressed another 100 pounds in early July, just before the season had. So total savings and gains was $1,050 on that 18 acres, or it came to be about $58.28 an acre at $3 corn. Now it used to be 10 years ago. you know, the moisture content of soil. We farm a lot of hills, and the tops get pretty light, the valleys are pretty heavy. The tops, the yield of the corn, I don't have the variance anymore like I used to. You know, the tops, you can drop way off, you get down in valleys and and it's evening itself out. Provides forage for animals. You know, it's a really good, cheap way if you need the feed. If you don't need it, leave it there for the ground. That's, it's just going to help build the ground faster. But if you need it, it's a good place to get a second crop. And then it's very beneficial for other animals. You know, we're very avid hunters, and our deer herd has gotten very large to the point where we're trying to find some neighbors that will, okay, you can sneak across and take a couple because we're getting a lot more. I'm feeding a lot more than I would like to. But even the animals you can't see, the earthworm population has been through the roof. We have some ground that we've been doing this location on for 7 years. And that ground, you can see its head and shoulders above stuff that I was coming to it very slow, so we're still doing some tillage on other ground. And I mean, over the spring, corn stubble, where you can go back and, the stuff we're doing tillage on, the low cover crops, all the stubble's there. You go to the stuff that's got the cover crops, it's gone. All you see is wormholes, and everything else is missing. So it's been very beneficial on that stuff. I guess other than that stuff, there's not too much else that can offer other than, start slow, but keep your mind open. Don't be scared to try new things. We do new things every single year, and I cannot say that I've never had a cover crop failure. I've just had some that didn't work as good as others because they all did something. Thank you.
Thank you. I know you've got a lot more questions added up on your list already, so that's good. We're going to get to those in just a little bit. Our next presentation is by Jay Aspenson, again from Crawford County. So
along with less trips across the field this evening. Crop rotation is primarily corn and soybeans. We do have 150 acres corn, wheat, corn, soybean, winter wheat. And our goal is to get third was planting cover crops, grain harvest. This field here is going into corn. It was planted in heavy residue corn stock, 14 pounds cereal rye. Field corn and soybeans, 25 pounds we used. Following wheat, we used a 44-pound mix, or 44 pounds per acre with 9 species mix. This is our turbo till. We use this for wheat and cover crops. It's a 30-foot with a bell mark. We mounted that on it. It has 20 openings, and we have diffusers stayed about 1.5 apart. This is ground driven. It's really nice and speed up. It speeds up. Nice speed. Distribution of seed, easy filling. It has shutoffs on each side, so you can do point rows or whatever. This seed buggy here is our wheat, cover crops, seed corn and beans. Planting costs with equipment, tractor, labor is about $6 per. We use this for wheat. Since we've been broadcasting wheat, but I've never used it for herbicide. This is our mix. Cold season, warm season, brassicas, and broadleaves. This picture shows good, even seed distribution. Running about an inch, shallow depth, straight blades, it's easy to pull. Working the seed and soil surface, the tines, I really like those. In heavy residue areas, it gets down where it needs to be. This is a heavy residue going into corn stocks, and this is a result of 14 pounds. Very little seed. Minimum tillage, GPS would be nice, we haven't got it in here, we have it on our equipment. We didn't think we'd need it, but we do, it's very easy to get lost already. GPS will get you on track real quick if you don't get lost. This is August 5th seating, and this is 3 weeks later with very good rainfall. It was dry. Minimum tillage results. We can do 30 acres an hour. That allows me to almost keep up with my wife. Roundup, we use Roundup. We terminate 10 days ahead of planting corn. But they involved reducing the days, maybe 5 days. Works real well. We thought there was some allopathic effect, but I guess that's not the case with the corn. We do have seed, or we do have nitrogen tie-up. And I added nitrogen for the starter mix, and did see had good results with it, good, nice thing. Terminate after planting beans, same day or day after. Modifications for no-till, we started out with John Deere 7000, 6-row. We have 3 filter system, crossing system on it. A few years later, when we switched to 12-row, we added row cleaners and dropped 2 of the filters. Modifications for cover crops, that's changing to 23 weight versus 13 weight. I don't think we need all that tillage. It cuts through residue. The only difference is we're taking off the row cleaners. Corn and soybean mix, I don't think we need to clear anything. This is our bean planter. We took the row cleaners off 5 or 6 years ago and had good results with it. They're not needed. Pest management. 3 farms had armyworm. 2 of those 3 farms had cover crops on it. So it can be an issue. Scouting was very it was isolated, so it wasn't much of a job cleaning up the reserves. Impact on cash crop that prevents erosion. The goal is to increase organic matter and increase yield. We're now growing rye seed. We sow it right with the wheat, right same day, and harvest at the same time. This is our, we're going to know the cost, break even. It's equipment, land, labor, management. It's about break even is about $8.11. Our cost is about $2 cash cost. Where bushel was low, we had a lot of wind, a lot of rain, and I'd say 25-30% went down flat. So if we can get this up to 50 or above, we can cut these numbers over. $46 an acre is our cover crop mix. I'd like to get that down and to $26. $10 to $11 for planting cover crop after soybeans and corn. Cost of termination, $14 for herbicide and soybean. Benefits: reduced erosion, better field conditions, planter runs smoother.